Kat here for Loop TV, and we're here at the preview of the launch of Reason 5 and Record 1.5, much anticipated, and we're catching up with James Bernard. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, doing well.
Now, you're going to be demonstrating the product today, and it's somewhere you've come from product demonstration anyway. You previously worked in Korg, sound development, and as a music producer yourself, you've sort of stayed at the front of emergent technology.
Yeah, I've been actually pretty lucky in that this has been my passion, and it's something that I've always loved to do, and I've been lucky that I've been able to not only just do it, but make a living doing it. And starting out with Korg back in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm aging myself here. Now I started there doing sound design. Actually, when I started, I was in the warehouse, so anyone who's looking to work their way up, it can happen. But I was really involved in the early rave scenes that was happening in New York at the time. So I'm from New York, and I just managed to kind of be right place, right time, and was into a style of music that no one else in the company was into. So my sounds and what I was creating for my own ears started to make their way into products, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then going over to Propellerhead, it was a logical progression for me, because I'd always used hardware because that's all we had back in the early days of producing. And when Rebirth came out, which was the first sort of software synthesizer that kind of made computers viable, something went off in my head, and I was like, well, this is interesting. That's the future, I think. And then as I started progressing in my own productions, I was using software more and more and hardware less. So when Propellerhead and Ernst contacted me for the position, it was an easy thing to say yes, because it was already something I was using. So. And
very exciting. We've been keeping up to date with your blogs actually through the website.
Yeah, about videos I'm doing.
Yeah, and it's been an exciting sort of lead up to the release. You've got an army of beta testers who've sort of been helping you iron out, because this is something that very much happens alongside your users.
Yeah, I mean, we're notoriously slow with updates. I mean, we don't do an update every year, So when it comes to a big software upgrade like Reason, every 3 or 4 years or so we get an update, and this is we really think it's our biggest yet. I mean, there's a huge amount of new features that are happening, and a lot of things that are going to change the way people are working with Reason. And so, of course, all of the users, the forums lit up, and all of our little teaser videos, I think, were very well produced and really hit the message home, while still being funny, which we try to. I mean, we attempt to be funny at some times as well. But yeah, the beta testing, the way that it went, we tried something a little different this time, where we had an early beta test, which we called the test pilots. And they really, really helped out the process and got the process of getting to the public beta much faster and much more streamlined. So when we actually went to public beta, the time between public beta and now we're ready to go to Golden Master was actually pretty short and was very efficient, because we've already done a lot.
We literally watched the bugs dropping off, didn't we, on a counter?
Yeah, they were coming down, and there weren't that many to begin with, but they went down pretty quickly. So we're very pleased with the way that went. Yeah.
Now there's a number of new developments, obviously, in this new release, which are very exciting. Let's talk about a few of those. First of all, the Conga drum synthesizer, which has must emulate some of the products you originally worked with Korg in some ways.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very unique beast. I mean, Kong is to drums what Thor is to synthesizers, in that it becomes this modular drum unit where you can really create or sculpt any sort of drum sound, be it physical modeled realistic drum sounds or physical modeled analog drum sounds. And then it worked with samples using the NN Nano and the Nurse Rex, which is a new way to work with Rex loops. And I think when people start to actually get their hands on it and see the different ways that you can work with a Rex or a recycled loop with Kong, it's gonna open a lot of people's minds.
Really sort of open people up to experimentation.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like one of the things that it allows you to do is something that, in my opinion, spawned the whole drum and bass jungle genre, which was when you were chopping up loops, instead of chopping up each individual slice, you were chopping up beats. So you had the first beat, second beat, third beat, fourth beat, and you would rearrange where the beats happen and re-trigger beats, and it's very easy to do with Kong, with the new Nurse Rex player. So I think people are going to really dig that and have some fun with it.
Now you've also got the Dr. Octo Rex, which is of course essentially a loop station as well. Let's talk about some of the changes in that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that device, by giving you the Dr. Octo Rex, we actually killed the Dr. Rex, so that goes bye-bye, and it's okay because this is a better version. You get the ability to load up a number of Rex loops, up to 8 of them, but it's much more than just a Rex loop player. I mean, I've heard some people say, well, I don't use Rex loops, and I would invite them to try the Octo Rex and work with the new slice edit mode, because there's some things that are in there that will make your Rex loops sound nothing like the original loop. So you're actually going to get some pretty unique textures when you're using Rex loops, and that's one feature that's great. Another feature is the ability to switch from one loop to another as a pattern. So instead of always having slices on the track, you're actually going to select a loop as a pattern, and you can re-trigger loops that way too. So there's a lot of great stuff. I mean, too much to talk about, just blabbing with my talking head here, but when you see it, you'll like it.
Also exciting there as well, Neptune, which seems to have really sort of stepped that up. And the pitch adjustment now is...
Yeah. It's Neptune, which is just in Record 1.5. As we usually do, we'll take something that people have asked for, or something that we see a need for, like pitch correction. And of course, we'll do the stuff that you would expect. So yeah, you can do the T-Pain, I'm on a boat type sound, and yes, you can do really natural pitch correction. But it also has the ability to do harmonies by playing notes on a MIDI keyboard. And then there's some other unique things that it can do, one of which is, and we haven't really talked too much about it, but it has a control voltage or a CV output. So when it detects a pitch, you could actually, in theory, use your voice to play a Thor synth. Or you could take a bass guitar, and if I play a fretless, which I have at home, and I'm not exactly perfect on my fretting, so using Neptune will allow me to stay in key and make up for the amount of pints I had before I laid down the bass line. But it's also useful, since it's an effects device. We actually have some patches in a new sound bank which use it to do pitched things. So pitch delays, where each time the delay repeats, it goes up a chromatic tone, or goes down in tones, or goes up in thirds or fifths. So it's really unique, and it's given us a lot of opportunities to kind of explore other textures that were not available prior to that in any effects device.
And I mean, these sort of things all as well running in tandem as well, and there have been other workflow enhancements as well.
Oh, a ton, yeah. Actually, I mean, we only talked about 5 features when we did the rollout. We gave you 5 points. Of course, there's more than that. There's a lot of things that have been updated and changed. I mean, one of the things that we don't even really mention is that in Record 1.5, there's a new feature called Stretch Clips to Tempo, which I don't think people are going to understand, but they're going to understand it, but I don't think people really get that this makes Record almost like Ableton Live, in a way that any loop, no matter what the tempo is, can be used in a song now. All you have to do is know how many beats or bars it is, and you just click on the loop and stretch it to match where you want. So now it's totally open.
That extra manipulation really just leads to ease.
Allow you to use loops and Record in a whole new way. I mean, myself, I'm using it much more in that way as well. And then there's just a ton of other stuff. I mean, blocks, which is the new sequencing enhancement, which makes the task of arranging your song a lot more fun and less tedious, cut and paste and all of that nonsense. And of course, we didn't talk about sampling, which is a biggie. With both Reason and Record, have an audio input in Reason. We said we would never give you an audio input in Reason, and we did. So we have sampling now, and it's the way the sampling works is really, really intuitive and fun. And we've kind of gone back to what sampling used to be. When samplers first came out, I mean, everyone would sample like their dog or something and make a cute little melody out of it, right? But it was about the fun of using everyday sounds to create a piece of music. And somewhere along the way, we got away from that, right? And sampling became very technical and wasn't as much fun. And so we wanted to make it so that you could get back to the fun of sampling and making music from really anything that exists around you. And you'll see when the users start trying it out, just how fast and intuitive it is to be able to, right away, while you're playing a song, you could have a drum pattern recorded and programmed into a redrum, and just start replacing sounds on the fly while it's playing back, and editing them on the fly as well. It's a really, really fun new feature.
There's a lot of fun to be had. We're going to be seeing some of the product, and as you said on your blog, it changes everything.
It does, yeah.
Again.
Yep.
Thank you very much for spending time with us. It's Kat for Loop TV.